Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to my coverage of the 47th running of the Long Beach Grand Prix. Now, of course, this event has been going on for 47 years, but this is the first one I've been able to cover in person. Obviously, I've been watching it on TV for my entire life. I'm so excited to bring you guys coverage on my channel. It truly is an honor. I figure to start this weekend off right, we talk about the track itself. It's the same layout it has been since the year 2000, if you can believe it or not. And the track has had several iterations over the course of its lifetime. The Formula One track was a lot different from the kart track, which is a lot different from the Champ Car track, which is the same track they're using now. I figured we start in the pit lane because that's where everybody's weekend starts, and this is who everybody's chasing this weekend, defending champion Colton Herta. But this pit lane is a treacherous one. In the past, I'm reminded of Michael Andretti running over the top of Emerson Fittipaldi and ending both of their races. And then about 20 years later, Michael Andretti's son, Marco, and Sebastian Bourdais doing the exact same thing. So you think you've made it out of the pit lane? Well, you need to get past the blend line too. I remember, 2016, Simon Pagenaud and Scott Dixon, their battle was ultimately decided there. And of course, at the start of the race, you're screaming down Shoreline Drive at 180 miles an hour, sometimes 3 and 4 wide. Sometimes it doesn't work out too well, and I can tell you that that's a very narrow turn one. You think back to Mario Dominguez taking out Paul Tracy at the start of one of these races way back in the day. Turn one is crucial on the start. Of course, considering if you start far enough up to actually be in that pack coming down here into turn one. And that's why qualifying here is so desperately important. If you're starting the race anywhere further back than the first 3 rows, you're probably going to be in the hairpin when they're taking the green flag, and that's all the more uphill battle that you're going to have to do throughout this race. So here's the famous new quote-unquote part in the track, the famous Fountain Center section, which was added to the track in 1999. So I guess it isn't exactly the newest part of this track. Now, obviously, double file, triple file, certainly triple file impossible, double file darn near impossible through here. And you have to get funneled down from that turn one where you maybe can go 2 wide to here where you almost certainly have to go 1 wide. Otherwise, you're going to be swimming with the dolphins like Jack Harvey almost was a couple of years ago. From the fountain, you come down here to this blind corner, which really, on cold tires, is one of the better passing opportunities because you can pull out and surprise people. But it being a blind corner and also presenting that opportunity was the reason that Joseph Newgarden lost this race in 2014 and about 5 other guys, because after he crashed with Ryan Hunter-Reay, everybody else crashed behind him. So this could be one of the bigger action spots on the racetrack in the race. But one of the bigger spots for action in qualifying is what we're about to see next. So back there is turn 5, which is maybe the most difficult corner for qualifying. It seems like we always, every year, this wall is like the destroyer of toe links. I mean, somebody always catches this wall, or you always see that camera shot from NBC where someone's, you can't even stick a piece of paper in between them and this wall. It's always an exciting corner for sure during qualifying. Hey, who says street circuits don't have character or elevation change? You got a hill down here, and the run to Seaside Way, I believe, is what this back straightaway is called. Now, I called the last corner you saw, I think turn 5, that maybe turn 6, I don't know. Even though I have the power of the entire world in my pocket, I haven't bothered to look at it because they haven't printed off track maps for whatever reason for us. Yeah, so this left-right, as we're about to get run over by a car here, look at that, the Acura getting some Acuras into the video there. I actually might have to do another take. Now, screw it, let's keep going. So one of the things that I remember about this particular corner, well, a couple of things. Number one, I think the leader in WeatherTech crashed down here a couple of years ago, the Wheeling car. But the thing I remember the most is Marco Andretti flying about 30 feet in the air and down into this runoff area down here. One of the more exciting moments that I can remember in recent memory at Long Beach. Recent memory, 10 years ago. And now we're flying down the back straightaway here at Long Beach, courtesy of the IndyCar Ministry golf cart. Shout out to them. But you can see, this isn't exactly the most wide straight in the world, but hey, this is a straight that sets you up for a very crucial passing opportunity down at the end of this thing. And we're coming around to the other side of the circuit. Obviously, this down here is one of the more iconic shots on the track. You always have this big banner, this big thing of banners you always see from the long shot down the way. This obviously is kind of your last possible passing zone, unless you count the hairpin, which usually no one ever makes a pass work down there. If you're going to make a pass on the last lap, right here is where you're going to do it. And this was something that was pointed out to me by Renus VK. Shout out to him, because he mentioned to me about down here the Formula Drift rubber. You can actually see off to the right what the pavement usually looks like, that kind of the gray. But look at all this rubber down here. Now, from what I understand, this is really going to affect the Indy cars. And I guess I'll ask tomorrow in the bullpen exactly how that's going to affect. But I mean, I've rubbed my foot on this, and this is really gripped up over here. But the question is going to be, is this rubber compatible with the Firestone rubber that the Indy cars are going to be using? Or really, if you think about it, the IMSA cars with their Michelin rubber. What is that going to be like? That will be interesting, and that's going to be maybe one of the keys here at Long Beach. Here it is. Here is that iconic shot that you always see at Long Beach. You've seen it, since I think the late 80s, with all those sponsor banners, the bridge, everything. But you can see even more of that Formula Drift rubber all the way down through here, all the way up to the hairpin, because of course that's where the Formula Drift runs. So it'll be very interesting to see how that dynamic changes or affects the races and the qualifying we'll see today. The most iconic image, honestly, even more iconic than maybe those sponsor billboards in the background, is maybe Paul Tracy flying through the air and landing with the greatest of ease in the tire barrier, which is behind your position here on YouTube. Now let's move on to, you want to talk about iconic at Long Beach? The hairpin. They don't get more iconic than the hairpin here at the Long Beach Grand Prix circuit. And I think one of the more famous moments, aside from many of the schmozzles, as Bob Barsha would have put it, that have happened down here that have brought out red flags, was last year when Ed Jones kind of whipped and kind of nay-nayed and kind of took Pato Award out of the championship fight. But again, I want to point out, look at the rubber all the way up there on the exit of the corner from the Formula Drift cars. I wonder, again, because that's a crucial acceleration point when we're thinking about qualifying, and even if we're thinking about, the run to the final checkered flag, you got to get the power down there. And if that rubber is going to affect either a Michelin or a Firestone tire in acceleration, that could be something to watch. And if you can get your car working there, you may get to our finish line first. So if you get all that right in the 100 to 120 so times you'll drive around this track and practice qualifying and the race, you may be the lucky one to cross that line first on the final lap. And that's what everybody this weekend will be chasing. Thank you guys so much for watching and consuming my coverage of the Long Beach Grand Prix this weekend. So much more to come. This is just day one and nothing's been on track yet. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned. And thanks to these people for making this video possible.